Afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for taking time out their afternoon to join us for our construction management information session. We have our department chair, Leslie Tuplin, here, who's going to really talk to you about the program, answer any questions you have about the curriculum, and just provide a little bit more detail about the, some of the outcomes that you can expect from attending and taking part of this program. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Leslie Tuplin.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy that everyone is here. I am the department chair who oversees the construction management department, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the curriculum. And there's really good news, right? Really good news is that we can have some in-person labs. And that's something that we are very strong here at the College of Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology. So the first thing that I would like to share with you, of course, is while you're making your decision and other things that are going on in your life, I just want to share with you that I'm a graduate of Benjamin Franklin Institute of Technology. I graduated from the architectural program, which was then transitioned into the building technologies program, which is now the construction management program. So we have continually adapted to what the industry demands of us as a technical college. So when if we meet in person, but what I want you to understand is that we're all here for you. I've sat in the same seats that you will be sitting in lab. So that's it's really hands-on. Excuse me. It's really a hands-on education that you will be acquiring while you're with us. And one of the reasons I wanted to discuss the lab portion of the curriculum that you will be required is that the lab is typically the most favorite part of the curriculum. It's actually where you have the opportunity to attend computer-aided design classes. You will be taking a graphics class where you will be working with plans and specifications. Also, we have sustainable construction. That's all about green construction, and you will have projects that are associated with green construction and everything that's really, like, I would like to say, what's hot in the industry right now and where the architectural engineering construction industry is headed. So you will, by the time you're finished, you will literally, and I believe you can read this in the catalog, but you will literally have a sampler. You will literally have taken all the courses that you need to take to be employable or job ready in 2 years. Okay, that doesn't mean that you won't have opportunities in the meantime through part-time work, our construction mentor program, and internships. But what we strive for is to give you all the tools and information that you need so that an employer can scoop you up, right, the day after you graduate, or even hopefully prior to that with an internship. Another unique thing that we do here at Benjamin Franklin is that we have our curriculum is not just limited to buildings, okay? We know that the construction industry has really exploded in the last 15 years, and there are a lot of other things that are involved in construction. So you'll take some business courses, you'll take an estimating course, you'll take a scheduling course, you'll learn about site work and heavy construction and those kind of things, so that you have a more well-rounded curriculum, which will again then provide you with more opportunities. And that's so along with internships, construction mentoring program, site visits, you'll have plenty of opportunity to really be ready for the workforce. Did I leave anything out? So I would certainly encourage you to ask questions, perhaps even introduce yourself, and just maybe even talk a little bit about why you're interested in construction. It's very vast field, and we have seen folks who are interested in architecture in our program, people that are interested in real estate, people that are interested in, maybe one day starting their own company. We have a really incredible student body that have found that Benjamin Franklin Institute meets all of their likes and gives them enough additional knowledge. So it's you'll be fascinated by the students that are in the class with you. I'll turn it back to Calvin.
I think some of the questions that have popped up in some of our other sessions were placement. So what happens with the after graduation? What type of jobs could they look for? What does that look like?
Okay, so that's a great question, because if I can give you job titles, but then I can tell you a little bit about what these folks do, okay? So there's typically an entry-level position which has a couple of different titles depending upon who the company is. So it could be like assistant project manager, you could be an office engineer, you could be maybe assistant superintendent. And so it would be an entry-level position based on, of course, your education, and then the connections that you make or the site visits that you go on. You'll see something that's really intriguing to you. But we have, historically, we have students that either like to stay in the office and maybe do more along the lines of the design aspect of the construction project. Some folks, quite a few actually, like to go out into the field, maybe do some field layout work. So we have a 4-credit survey class, which is half lab, half class, where we teach folks how to use the equipment so that you can lay out a building. And many of you may have seen the mysterious people standing on street corners with the tripods and the computer or camera on the top. So some people like to go into the field. They feel that maybe they want to get some field experience before they go in the office. Then others would rather go in and do more of the management. From just talking to some of the recent graduates, many of them have had the opportunity to do both. So maybe like half a day in the office, half a day in the field, or maybe like 2 days in the office, 3 days in the field. So there's really no limit. And working with our industry advisory board, which are general contractors and subcontractors in the greater Boston area who will come in to interview our graduating students, they have also been where we all started. So they understand that in order to be, to continue to move your career along, that you need some diversity, and typically that's what we aim for. So yeah, assistant project manager, office engineer, assistant superintendent, maybe field engineer, basically just ready and willing to do whatever they have on the, on the project list at that particular time. So it's pretty wide open. When the construction management department, we do so much work together between labs and going out in the field and doing that kind of things that we do have a very strong bond within the department. So I'm always really charged up. I hear from graduates from the first year, from 2017 all the way through the folks that just graduated, and when they tell me the opportunities that they've been able to have once they've become employed, it's really like fascinating, so goes the evolution of construction management.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you talked about the trifolds, because I always wonder, like, what are they taking pictures of? What?
Yeah, so number one is that because there's a big portion of real estate involved in construction management, that we have to make sure that not only are we building the building where we're supposed to, but also in order to build things, right? So we're building things blind in a lot of ways. We're on ground, and then we go up a story and up a story, and there's no grid up there that tells us like where we're going to stop. So there'll always be field engineers that will be using lasers to set the elevations. So I'm looking at Min's background, and in fact, that's when we use our own building as one of our interior projects in the winter. But you could just imagine that as you're building stories that are 3D in space, someone needs to control all of that. So that's what those folks are doing. It's really straightforward, but of course the equipment's pretty sophisticated. So sometimes you'll just see prisms spinning around, or lasers spinning around, or cameras, right? They'll mount cameras on the tripod and things like that.
So I know COVID had an impact over some of the in the field type of experience some of our students could have experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the on-site experience that students, possibilities that students could potentially have in the program?
Okay, well, the good news is that we're coming to the end of having to do kind of like remote site visits. And so I'll be forever grateful to the companies that actually were able to accommodate us and take us like on is it called a GoPro, and we went around a construction site. But obviously it was second best. It's not the same as being in the field. So we've gone out to, all sorts of projects around the Boston area, whether it was a Suffolk Construction or Columbia or a Consigli. We have the opportunity to, Walsh Brothers, we have the opportunity to spend, as a classroom, a group, half a day typically, where we will go for safety training, right? Safety is a big part of this industry. We go for safety training, we get a little bit of a briefing, we get hard hats and vests and all glasses and all sorts of goodies. Three of those goodies are actually required to go onto a job site. And then we will go with the superintendent or maybe the lead field engineer, and they will take us around the job site, which is, there's nothing really that can equal going onto a project and seeing it being constructed, because two-dimensionally or three-dimensionally on paper is totally different, but it's really great when we can go out to the job site and see excavation occurring. We can visually talk about the things that we talk about in class, being close to the ocean, concrete, structural steel, floor layouts, and all that. So we'd like to take advantage of every single company that offers to have us. Usually it's a minimum of, 2 or 3 each year, and that might include first-year students and second-year students. It would depend how many folks they can host, right? So I believe the last time we were physically on a job site, they hosted 16 of us. So that's pretty, you get direct access to areas that are pretty secure, like behind the scenes, because you are a student and you've had some safety training and you understand what's going on in the project. And I think that makes a world of difference.
Definitely agree. So at this time, students, if you have any students, parents, influencers, if you have any questions, this would be a great opportunity that you can ask, whether or not it's missions related, construction management related. This is the time for you to do so.
I want to add one more. Maybe some of you have been to the college, or you might actually know the location. But again, I'm just going to say one of the benefits of studying construction management at this time in the industry, in the Back Bay, and again, this is feedback I get from the students. Of course, I love the industry, but what students have done on their own is like they'll take a different path to walk to school. We have the ink block is under construction currently. We have projects that are really like less than 6 or 10 blocks away. So I think a lot of that too is great because it's really almost it's like immersion work, right? So you're studying things and you're seeing cranes and projects are going on, and we discuss all of that as we move through the process. And that's one great opportunity that we have that maybe suburban or rural campuses don't necessarily have out their windows.
Has everyone been accepted?
I see a familiar name on the screen. Do I see John Paul? Okay, so hi. Nate, so I don't want to like take over the conversation, but John Paul was one of our summer students who actually had the opportunity to come in, and he was in our building materials and application class for the summer. So that's great. I'm glad to see you.
So a question came in the chat. Will we be able to touch base on residential buildings?
Yeah. So for one of the okay, let me back up a little bit. From the very first semester that you come into the construction management, you are taking construction management courses. Okay. Yes, you do have to take your general education classes, but immediately you will be coming into AutoCAD, graphics, construction management 1. And in the graphics class, we talk about documents and we talk about different designs. 2 of the projects that we work on, which will be part of your textbook, that will be part of your textbook and your assignments, are one is a 3-bedroom single-family home. So we'll be working on that. And then your second project, we weave them in and out just so we keep things exciting. Second project will be a custom home, right? So definitely things that people can relate to, single family, easy, moderate to advanced residential. And then of course, we're going to touch on a commercial project. And the reason we do that is that in Boston, in particular, in the greater metropolitan area, some of the newer projects that are ongoing have what are called mixed use. So they might have like underground parking, and they might have first floor retail, and then residential up above. So yeah, we don't just jump right into one sector. We really will spend at least 50-50, 50 on residential and 50 on commercial.
Any other questions? You guys can unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can write it in the chat.
Please don't be shy.
What separates our program from other construction management programs?
Well, so sometimes I hear people will say, geez, I didn't even know there was a major called construction management, right? So when I introduced myself, I said I started in architecture, then I went into civil engineering, and then, further on into construction management. The thing that really separates us is that it is hands-on immediately, okay? And it's all relevant field experience that we're talking about. So we have kept the AutoCAD as a full course, which is not the case at some other colleges. They have rolled that into another course. So you have a full AutoCAD class, you have a full graphics class, full surveying class, things that some of the other colleges and universities have decided they might have wanted to trim down on a little bit. But from a purely construction management standpoint, we give you enough tools, skills, knowledge within 2 years so that you can get a job immediately, right? So some of our, in the past couple of years, students that have been out on internships, students that have maybe been out doing construction mentoring, they would come in and say, you know, before the last semester, you know what, I worked over the Christmas break, and they said, if I can learn to survey, if I can learn to do total station machine, you know, I can get an entry-level job doing AutoCAD work. So we have kept all those discipline-specific courses. We haven't, you know, like watered them down or mixed them with anything else. That will give more opportunity. Now, I just refer to John Paul because he's was through a 4-credit course already. That means that you're going to be involved, right? You're going to be hands-on. You're going to have labs. And we have kept heavy construction, right? So if you have the opportunity to go with a utility company, you know, we've kept in all the MEP classes. We have all of that so that really whatever opportunity comes along, you'll be suited for it. And yeah, so that, you know, it's small classes too. So we're definitely, you know, a gem of a college. We have small classes. We have our own space within our existing building. And then, you know, all our professors have worked in the industry. So the AutoCAD person that's teaching that, they do that every day. The person that teaches scheduling and teaches estimating, that person does that for a living. So we're really committed to like the student experience, keeping the class sizes, just so that everybody knows. Our offices are within our own space. So if there are any concerns, any, I don't want to say issues, I'll just say concerns. If there's anything that comes up and you need to, you know, have direct access, you're not going to see a TA, you're going to see your professor, right? So you'll be able to, you know, it's really hands-on, almost like one-on-one most of the time.
Any other questions?
So do folks just want to pop on and introduce themselves, or do you have any questions? You want to know where the pizza shops are in the neighborhood? Anything?
I'm Michael Selbrook. I was just accepted into Benjamin Franklin. I'm actually very interested in construction and construction management. Last summer, I took on a job down in Dover, New Hampshire, doing a water culvert, and I enjoyed it a lot. So I decided, like, this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Michael, because that's why we keep the whole field aspect as part of the curriculum. Because even if you're like totally over the top liking construction in general, when you get that chance to, you know, again, like what other majors can you come to school for and go out and actually build it, right? So you can be outside, you can be in the office, you know, it's a combination of different things, but yeah, but when you are actually working with, you know, like building a culvert, whether it was the excavation or the installation, it's very rewarding. So you get to see the fruits of your labor.
There was a question, Giannis, what part of Boston is it in? The college, we're South End, Boston, right on the corner of Berkeley and Tremont. Darwin asks, will y'all provide help with getting construction license?
Well, yeah, so let me talk a little bit about that. there's a couple of different routes there, right? So if you have, one of the things, I'll be perfectly honest with you, one of the things that we weave into our courses is talking about code, talking about permits, how to get to the next step, the things that you need to do. So we weave that in all the time. As far as the construction supervisor's license is concerned, you'll be learning a lot of that along the way. Once you have enough experience, you'll be allowed to sit for that exam. Usually, and there's a combination of schoolwork, there's a combination of any jobs you might have had, combination of your internships, where you'll be able, you don't have to log a specific amount of hours like some of the other licenses, but you need to be prepared to be able to sit down and take that exam. And as a matter of fact, when I was on campus yesterday, I just started pulling up the some of the files on that, because I want to have that readily available for folks. Like I have some other information in the back of the classroom. Now, the other thing, Giannis, that I wanted to mention is there are also other ways that you can go about, registering as a home improvement contractor, or going, things that we can start immediately while you're working on getting your degree and getting some experience, unless you've already done that. Yeah, so we talk about that, and we also will be discussing leadership in environmental and engineering design, so that you'll be ready to start to think about taking your lead associate for green construction. So we have all of that. Get you ready to go, so you can think about what you can do the day after graduation, essentially.
Sensei, I think you were trying to say something. I think you're muted if you. The class online. So you want to talk about our hybrid model?
Yeah, so the one thing about the construction management department is we did not close down during the pandemic. In the beginning, we were in school for the first half of spring of 2020. And what we chose to do, and it worked out fantastic, is if there is a course with a lab component, the requirement is, although we did make provisions, the requirement is that you come in for a lab. So right now, what we are working on, if it is a purely theoretical class, like say Construction Management 1, where we discuss the topics of how to manage a project, and there isn't necessarily, we're not building anything in the classroom, we're talking about something specific, then those classes can be remote. Okay, so we call them like remote, hybrid, but if there is a course that is 3/4 lab, 50% lab, then we still have those classes. And we've been successful at that since April of 2020. We've kept our big studio open. We have reduced the class size, right? So we can sit 20 folks. We've reduced that down to like less than 10 to make sure that we were safe. Very similar to how a construction project worked, right? So we really took hold of the requirements to keep it clean, to keep the distance, to make sure that everything was going right. And even till yesterday, had a heavy construction estimating lab that we've still continued to meet during this whole process. If students are feeling uncomfortable, or maybe something else is going on and they can't make the class, then we'll usually I'll usually try to set up a Zoom. It's not the same as being in class, but you can see what the rest of us are doing while you might be absent. And I think, you know, one of the courses this summer, it was, you know, basically said that we could have done it remote. And for the students that are taking the class, they said, you know what, we want to come in. So we've been in all spring semester and all summer so far.
We've been fortunate.
Yeah.
Any other last questions or comments?
Do you think that some of you might want to just introduce yourselves or pop on or wave? I'm going to, you know, John Paul, I'm coming over to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about the CM 160 class we took together a couple summers ago?
It was like 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
I think summer. It was a pretty good class. And like, I actually enjoyed it. That's why I want to take construction management again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sign. It's 2 years later and here you are. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm. That's great. Who haven't we heard from? How about Jenny? How about Sincere? Delwyn?
Jenny's staff.
Darwin asked a few questions in the chat. Young
Okay.
asked a few questions in the chat. Michael introduced himself. Sincere. Any questions?
How's it going, sir? No questions right now, but I was paying attention. I don't have no questions, sir.
Yeah, so one other thing I want to share, and of course, you know, when we talk about the code and we talk about employment and the evolution of things that are going on in the world, right? You know, as far as placement is concerned, we had more contractors than we had students, right? So this year. So we are very well known. Contractors, subcontractors, construction managers and general contractor, by the way, are somewhat interchangeable, those terms. But we have a lot of, and thanks to the, you know, the staff, of course, at BFIT, but I don't think that anybody it's only been, you know, a short time since graduation. And I believe that right now we either have 100% of the people that are employed. Some people had decisions to make, like they had a couple of different offers. So, you know, it's a good time to be in this business, right? Because there's plenty of opportunity.
Well, I want to thank everyone.
I have my fault.
No, go ahead.
I have a question about the software. What laptop would you guys recommend? Like a Windows or a MacBook? Because at my high school, we had an engineering class. We used Autodesk Inventor and Revit and all that stuff.
Yep.
And I bought a MacBook for that, and it doesn't really work well with it. So I was just concerned of I would have to purchase a different laptop for it or something.
Okay, so that's a great question. The way that we set up that so you will be using a variety of different software, but we'll talk just directly about AutoCAD right now. So you have the opportunity to, of course, you know, purchase a high memory, kind of a workhorse of a computer, if you choose to. For the CAD lab, we have 5 desktop workstations. And the one thing about the CAD class is that there's only 1 hour of lecture, and the other 4 hours are for assignments. So we have a workstation for you in the classroom. I think there's 5 rows and there's 3 in each. So you do not have to, have that expense of having to purchase something for yourself. You can use the workstations and then, kind of figure out how, if you wanted to take work home and work on it, but don't worry about that right now, because we have a workstation for every person that's going to take the class. And then you can determine which one, whether you wanted to use a Windows or you want to use Mac. But I would just want to back check and get some specific requirements, because I know like a tablet can't handle those programs, right? So you're going to need some sort of a laptop if you wanted to work remotely. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Thank
So we don't unlike, again, some other colleges, we are not anticipating that people are going to go and spend thousands of dollars on computers. What you need in the class, we have. If you want, the other thing that we are really great about, because we have a huge room, that even if you don't have class at the time that a class is meeting, you're still able to come to our computer lab or go to the ASC and work on, your projects, right? So it's not as if your hands are going to be tied. We still allow everybody to have access as long as, you're doing your work, right? Or the class is ongoing. But anytime that school is open, room 304 is open.
I just have another question. I sent out an email to someone in admissions, I think, about in-person tours. I heard that you guys have one tomorrow. I don't know if I could set it up with one of you guys or someone else.
The admissions office is open. We're not really given the complete tours because the campus is not fully open. We are open on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can definitely come in and you can meet with a counselor and we can talk to you a little bit more in detail about the next steps in the enrollment process. If there are special labs that are available, we can definitely show you that. I don't know. Are you, Leslie? Are there classes in session now that will be?
Well, I will throw this out on Tuesday. So Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tomorrow, I'm off. I'm busy somewhere else. So we're going to have a remote class. But on Tuesday, if anybody wants to come in, whether they're on an official tour or they want to get in touch with me and just come on up to the classroom, up to our lab room, then you're more than welcome to do that. I think until we're officially open, we'll just need to know ahead of time so that we can make sure that security is ready for you, right? I know that this week is kind of in transition where the restrictions have been lifted, but I don't know exactly what's happening down on the first floor. We're up on the 3rd floor, so very often I don't know how that's going to be handled. So it was Delwyn, you asked that question. If you want to come in on Tuesday, or I'm usually in from traffic 8 o'clock. We wrap it for 2:30. So anytime during that period of time, you're more than welcome. In fact, we're usually doing some sort of a lab, like estimating problems or heavy construction problems on the board. You could just come in and hang out if you want. You're more than welcome. And that goes for anybody else.
Any final questions? thank you all for joining our session. Hopefully, if it was informational to you guys, and we clarified any outstanding questions that you had, can you guys leave emails in the chat? Yes, we want to put the admissions email as well as Leslie, if you want to add your email in as well.
Yep. And again, if anybody popped on after we get started, I just want everyone to know that the professors that we have are at the top of their game, right? So they've been people that have worked in the field. They have multiple experience. We have facilities managers and architects and engineers and construction managers. And so it's a really nice combination of, it's not strictly book work, right? You can ask questions about the real things that you're seeing on a construction project. And we also, one other thing is that, so if you were to come in on a Tuesday, that we also have for the scheduling and the estimating class, we have a second room which has computers in it that have like Excel and project on them. Well, we have that in our own classroom too, but project is in the other room, where for the scheduling class you can go into that room, which is a separate lab, and do your work in there. I'm just trying to get my email over here.
Perfect.
Just give me 1 second. Whoops. And while I'm trying to get my screen cleared up so I can get my email in, I just, like I had mentioned previously, and it's not about me, but I just want to let you folks know that since I am a graduate, I know some of the challenges that you're going to have, trying to navigate, your life and, getting your education. So one thing that Benjamin Franklin did for me was to open my mind to a whole new industry. And I really honestly never thought that, taking a high school mechanical drawing class would have led to many, many years of working in the industry and never having one single day that I was bored, right? Every day, even if it was like something went wrong on a job, which they do, every single day was fun, and I've learned so much.
Let's see, I think it's just L Tuplin, right?
Yep.
Yep, I'll put it in the chat for you.
Okay. All right. So then we're going to have both of them going. All right. There we go. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today.
And thanks for those that shared, and thanks, Michael, for telling me about your culvert.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
Thank you, Mike.
let me know if you're coming in.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Sincere.
Of course.